You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Trump's ballroom renovation just blew up in court, based on an article by Nick Hilden. Trump tried to turn the White House into a venue, the power he did not have. The core fact here is simple. Donald Trump does not get to demolish part of the White House, build a 1,000-square-foot ballroom on personal command. The D.C. Circuit said so, and it upheld Judge Richard Leon's ruling that the project requires congressional approval. That is not a technicality. It is the Constitution reminding a president that the White House is not private property and the presidency is not a license to remodel national symbols in a fit of vanity. What the court actually said, the appeals court did not rule on whether the ballroom is tasteful or ugly, useful or absurd. It ruled on authority. The defendants, meaning Trump's administration, may not keep moving forward during litigation without Congress's authorization. That matters because the administration's defense was not about ordinary governance. Bloomberg reports it argued the ballroom was essential for national security, a familiar authoritarian reflex inflate personal preference into state necessity, and hope no one notices the bait and switch, misdirection as method. This is how power laundering works. First, a president treats a prestige project like a sovereign prerogative. Then the administration wraps it in patriotic language. Then it asks judges to bless the disguise. The source makes clear that the real issue is not policy taste, but institutional overreach. Trump overstepped when he oversaw the demolition of the East Wing. Calling that national security is not a legal argument, it is camouflage. The real story is custodianship gone bad. Trump's second term is described here as a parade of vanity projects, and that is the right frame. Changing the color of the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool basin, floating a 150-foot arch at Memorial Circle, trying to add his name to the Kennedy Center, and now pushing a ballroom after tearing down part of the East Wing all point to the same pattern, capture public space, stamp it with personal branding, call it legacy. This is not governance in the civic sense. It is symbolic occupation. The court's hesitation still helps him. There is, however, no reason to romanticize the institution checking him. The appeals court paused its own ruling for 14 days, leaving room for a Supreme Court appeal and allowing the project to keep hanging over the process. That kind of delay is not neutral when one side is racing ahead with demolition and spectacle. Trump benefits from conflict itself. Even partial restraint becomes content for his social media machine, a way to turn legal limits into grievance theater. Systemic error. The larger pattern is straightforward. Authoritarian politics does not always arrive as open rebellion. Sometimes it shows up as a president treating federal property, public monuments, and constitutional limits as props in a personal branding campaign. The danger is not only the project itself. It is the normalization of the idea that power is proven by what one man can rename, remodel, and force through before anyone stops him. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article, with the automated voice of Norman. Thanks for listening.